From the time we first drew breath in this world, we've been acutely aware of our own mortality. The beating of our hearts, the rhythm of our breath are constant reminders of the delicate balance of life and death. Throughout history, the cessation of that balance, the finality of death, has taken countless forms, but some, I'm afraid, are far more horrifying than others. Join me now, if you dare, as we venture into the darkest recesses of human history. Together, we'll unearth those methods of execution so ghastly, so profoundly cruel, they chill the very marrow in our bones. These are not tales for the faint of heart, but they are potent reminders of the depths of darkness humanity is capable of plumbing. Let us begin, shall we, and shine a light on the worst ways to die. Throughout history, there have been countless ways to meet one's end, but some are far more horrifying than others. Today, we delve into the darkest corners of human history to uncover the worst ways to die. Our journey through humanity's macabre history begins in ancient Persia with a method of execution so depraved, so utterly ruthless, it seems almost beyond human invention. They called it scaphism, and the instrument of their grisly work, a simple boat. The condemned, often a political prisoner or enemy combatant, was stripped naked and bound within the confines of two small boats, their bodies pressed tightly together. Then the true horror began. The executioners would force-feed the prisoner a sickening concoction of milk and honey, pouring it down their throats until their stomachs were fit to burst. The boats were then sealed, leaving the victim trapped within their fetid prison. Left exposed to the elements, the unfortunate soul would endure a slow, agonizing demise. Insects drawn to the sweetness of the honey would burrow into their flesh, laying eggs beneath their skin. The milk and honey, fermenting in the relentless sun, would cause horrific diarrhea, further attracting vermin and accelerating the onset of gangrene. From the sun-drenched deserts of Persia, we travel to ancient Greece, a land renowned for its philosophy, art, and, unfortunately, its capacity for cruelty. It was here that a monstrous contraption, a terrifying symbol of human ingenuity twisted for nefarious purposes, was born: the brazen bull. Imagine, if you will, a hollow bull cast in gleaming bronze, its nostrils pointing skyward, its belly large enough to contain a man. This was no mere statue, however. This was an instrument of agonizing death. The condemned was forced into the bull's belly through a small door. The door then bolted shut, sealing their fate. A fire was then kindled beneath the bull, slowly heating the metal until it glowed red-hot, transforming the interior into a furnace. As the victims succumbed to the unimaginable heat, their screams, muffled by the bull's bronze hide, emerged from the nostrils, sounding for all the world like the enraged bellows of the beast itself. Chapter 3: Drawing and Quartering Treason's Grisly Price. Our journey takes us now to medieval England, where the offence of treason was met with a punishment so brutal, so utterly devoid of mercy, that it defies comprehension. This was not a quick death, no swift dispatch to the afterlife. This was a spectacle, a public display designed to inspire terror and absolute obedience. This was drawing and quartering. The condemned, often a political enemy of the crown, would first be dragged through the streets behind a horse, their body broken and bloodied before the true horrors began. Then they were hanged, but not to death. The executioner would cut them down while still clinging to life, their breath a ragged whisper. What followed was an act of unimaginable barbarity. The still-living victim was disemboweled, their internal organs removed and burned before their eyes. Finally, as if their suffering had not been profound enough, they were beheaded, their body hacked into 4 pieces to be displayed throughout the kingdom, a gruesome warning to any who dared defy the crown. Chapter 4: Crucifixion. A death beyond endurance. Our somber exploration of history's darkest corners brings us now to the Roman Empire, a civilization known for its military prowess, its engineering marvels, and sadly, its brutal efficiency in dispatching its enemies. Of all the methods of execution in their grim repertoire, none was more agonizing, more utterly devastating than crucifixion. This ancient practice, reserved for the lowest of criminals and enemies of the state, involved nailing or tying the condemned to a wooden cross, their arms outstretched, their feet often nailed together below. The cross was then raised upright, leaving the victim suspended, exposed to the elements, their weight pulling down on their limbs, their chest constricted, each breath a monumental effort. Death came slowly, often taking days, the result of exhaustion, dehydration, and ultimately asphyxiation. The weight of the body pulling down on the diaphragm made it nearly impossible to draw a full breath. It was a death so agonizing, so profoundly inhumane, that even the Romans themselves considered it a punishment unfit for their own citizens. Chapter 5. The Blood Eagle, a ritual of unfathomable cruelty. Our final destination in this grim chronicle of human cruelty takes us to the frigid north, to the lands of the Vikings, fierce warriors who struck terror into the hearts of their enemies. Their reputation for ruthlessness was well earned, particularly when it came to the execution of their enemies. And no death was more feared, more shrouded in dread, than the legendary Blood Eagle. Whether simply a legend whispered around campfires or a gruesome reality, the Blood Eagle remains a chilling testament to the depths of human depravity. The condemned, typically a high-ranking enemy, would be forced to their knees, their backs stripped bare. Then, with a chillingly precise hand, the executioner would cut open their back, peeling the skin and muscle away from the ribs. The ribs were then severed from the spine and pulled outwards, resembling a grotesque pair of wings. Salt was then rubbed into the gaping wounds, intensifying the unimaginable agony. The victim's lungs, exposed to the open air, would spasm and flutter, a horrific parody of a bird in flight. Chapter 16. A Glimmer of Hope in the Darkness. As we conclude our harrowing journey through the annals of human cruelty, we're left with a profound sense of unease. The methods of execution we've explored, from the lingering agony of scaphism to the ritualistic brutality of the Blood Eagle, stand as stark reminders of the depths of darkness humanity is capable of plumbing. It's a sobering thought, a chilling reminder that within the human heart lies the capacity for both unimaginable compassion and unfathomable cruelty. But it's also a reminder that we have, as a species, the capacity to evolve, to learn from the mistakes of our past, and to strive for a better future. Let us hope that such barbaric practices remain forever confined to the dustbin of history, and that future generations will look back on these acts with a mixture of horror and disbelief, wondering how such cruelty could have ever existed. Let us strive for a world where death, when it inevitably comes, is met with dignity and peace, not the unspeakable suffering we've witnessed today. These methods of execution are a stark reminder of the cruelty humans are capable of. Let us hope that such dark practices remain in the past and that we continue to strive for a more humane world.